Hi, welcome to Adjusting Your Heart. I'm Doc AJ Chua, and believe it or not, this is our 16th episode. So in case you missed the other 15 episodes, just go to our YouTube channel and check out the other mental health issues that we've talked about, like anxiety, depression, or other relationship issues like how to be a better single or even about married life. And today our topic is make others feel special by validating their feelings. Learn the art of validating the feelings of others through the 3 tips I'm gonna share. And this will definitely enhance your relationships with your family members, friends, and colleagues. Today's topic is actually a request from a viewer I'll just call Jay. Jay, this is for you. What is validating? Validating means understanding and accepting the feelings of other people. And when we do so, we make other people feel special and loved. On the other hand, when we say we invalidate someone's feelings, it means we ignore, we reject, or we judge their feelings. So today, I hope that through the skills that I'm going to share with you, you'll be able to learn from it, because we can improve the way we validate the feelings of others. So for my first tip, it's to listen attentively. When we listen attentively, we are telling that person, you are important to me. But that's not easy, because our minds think 5 times faster. Let's say that person has only said 1 sentence. In our mind, we already have 5 sentences to either explain, to answer that person. So it takes practice so that one can listen attentively, listening with our heart. For an extrovert like me, and I'm very talkative as you will see, it's not easy. It took a while. And I remember while I was still in high school, my friends have a nickname for me. It's called Lola Basyang. That's because during those days, we have 2 hours lunch break. Wow! Tagal-tagal, di ba? So during those 2 hours, we'll eat fast, and then most of the time, we would just talk, we'll play games, and I would share also the things that I've watched the night before, the books that I've read. So the name stick, Lola Basyang. But as a counselor, I gradually learned how to listen. And I'm very happy that one of my alaga named Tina Ong told me this. After several years of being my alaga and of course eventually being a close friend, she told me this. She said, Ate Jeanette, you know what? You have improved. I said, how? The first time I came to you for counseling, you talked more than I do. Oh, that's embarrassing. But I learned from that. So thanks, Tina Ong, for teaching me that. And even the Bible, James chapter 1 verse 9 admonishes that everyone should be quick to listen, slow to speak, and slow to become angry. And remember, God created us with 2 ears and only 1 mouth, which means we have to listen more. So how do we listen attentively? Here are some tips. Give your full attention. Let's say most of us are working from home. So when a family member suddenly approaches you, you just put down everything, whatever you're doing, look at that person in the eye, and listen. And you could also show that you're interested by leaning a little forward. And please do not fold your arms like this or slouch, because when you do that, it shows apathy or defensiveness. And when we look at somebody's eyes, we could also catch some of the non-verbal behavior. Because if you're not looking, let's say you're typing something, and then a family member and you say, okay, or you just talk, how are you? And that person says, I'm okay. You just heard the word I'm okay, but you didn't see that his or her eyes are already filled with tears. So that's why it's very important to put down what you're doing and have eye contact. Another is, as we listen, we can nod from time to time or say, That means we are encouraging that person to go on. And the funny thing is, my husband Hans told me from time to time that while I'm dreaming, I would say, that means I think I'm counseling what I'm dreaming, okay? We can also restate or paraphrase what we have heard, like after listening, oh, sounds like you feel sad because of what happened. So that in case you heard incorrectly, that person would say, no, I didn't feel that way. Or that person would affirm and say, yes, that's how I feel. And he would feel validated. We can also ask questions to clarify. What do you mean when you say? And listening attentively means we do not interrupt that person just to share a similar experience. Like, oh, I also had that experience. We can share after we have listened. And please avoid changing the subject even if you don't feel comfortable. Sometimes some people would bring up some subjects that we're not really comfortable, but if we're a good friend or a good family member, we just listen. And do not be afraid of silence. Sometimes that person would suddenly stop and you don't know what to do. Don't talk. Just let there be silence. And probably after, because that person is probably having difficulty expressing his or her feelings, or maybe he or she is still processing the thoughts in her mind, just wait. Wait for that person to be ready. Let's say after 5 minutes, then if that person still hasn't talked, then you can say, are you ready to share what's on your mind? So do not be afraid of silence. So my first point is listen attentively. My second point is listen without judging. Please do not correct the feelings of other people. There are no right or wrong feelings. It's just how we deal with the feelings. Let's say, when somebody's angry, there's nothing wrong with that. Unless he or she, let's say, started physically abusing somebody physically, whether it's verbally or physically, and that's what makes it wrong. So, of course, you just listen first, and if really that person did that, maybe at the end, we could gently tell that person how to react when he or she is angry in the future. Or let's say somebody comes to you and ranting, I hate my parents. Do not reprimand that person and say, that's wrong, I know your parents, they love you very much. If you say that, that person would suddenly come up and feel judged, and he or she won't open up anymore. So you can instead ask, why do you feel that way? So you could ask, sometimes as they share, then they would eventually feel, oh, my parents do love me. So you just listen. And parents, if your children confides in you, please do not judge or reprimand immediately. For instance, if you have a grade 5 daughter who's very beautiful, and one day she comes home very, very happy, says, Mom, the most handsome classmate or the most handsome boy in my class told me that he has a crush on me. And then she's so kilig, she's very, very happy. And then you suddenly said, you're still in grade 5, you cannot have a boyfriend, and you start reprimanding. Next time, your daughter won't open up to you. So what you should do instead is put yourself into her shoes and just be happy. Of course, you would be flattered that somebody had a crush on you, and then use that as a teaching moment. For instance, after listening, you would just say, oh, I'm so proud of you. Or you could say, oh, you're like me, I'm very pretty also, something like that. But you could also say that, but you're still young. I hope that you would understand that it's better to have a boyfriend when you are already in, let's say, grade 12, something like that. So use that as a teaching moment. And when somebody confessed to you that he or she did something wrong, do not reprimand or do not say, I told you so, I already told you that before, how come you did this again? No, because that person already know that he or she did something wrong. Or let's say you have a friend who lost the game. Don't say, it's because you didn't practice well enough. You keep on playing your gadget. No need to judge that person. Or let's say a co-parent is telling you that, I feel so sad because my son or my daughter is being rebellious. Do not insinuate that that parent didn't teach his or her son or daughter the right values, because that would hurt them. Because I'm sure every parent would do their best to teach their children the right path. And yet when children grow up, they have their choices. Or what if somebody expresses doubt in God and you're a Christian? Instead of reprimanding or defending the faith, you just ask that person, what makes you doubt God? And I hope that we would learn to listen without judging so that people would keep on opening up to us. And the third skill would be listen with empathy. What is empathy? Empathy is when you put yourself into the shoes of other people. You feel what they feel. Dr. Gwen Dewar, in an article he wrote in 2019 entitled, "Do Babies Feel Empathy?" Babies. And they discovered that babies do. Did you know that the newborns, they feel distress when they hear other newborns crying? Not only that, they also conducted experiments wherein they placed a 1 or 2-year-old child, and then there's a doll, a baby doll, wherein they let that baby doll cry, but using a human baby's voice. You know how that 1 or 2-year-old will react? Some would just show in their face that they're very distressed. Some would approach that baby doll and try to comfort it. Some would even try to share their toy. So babies do feel empathy. And if babies feel empathy, I hope that adults, as teenagers, we would also do that. In Romans 12:15 in the Bible, it says, "Rejoice with those who rejoice and mourn with those who mourn." Actually, it's not easy, especially the first one. You think, oh, it's easy to rejoice with others. No, because what if that person eventually told you that he has a boyfriend or a girlfriend and you already wanted to have one and yet you don't have one? A friend was promoted and you're not. Or somebody had a bigger house that you've always dreamt of. Or another friend is celebrating their wedding anniversary, but you're already separated. Or somebody sharing that how his or her loved one recovered from the COVID virus and yours didn't. So actually, it's really not easy when we hear good news from other people and when we are not experiencing those good news. But remember, our friends share those good news to us because they consider us their good friends. It's not that they're not being insensitive. It's just that they don't like us to be the last to know. And of course, if you're the friend sharing good news, just be careful of the timing and how you say it, okay? What about if it's bad news? Mourn with those who mourn. Let's say somebody came to you and said he or she broke up with the boyfriend or girlfriend, whom deep inside you already felt he or she is no good. Do not say, oh, that's good, I really don't like him for you. Don't say that first. You just listen. And just because that person is sad, that person is crying. So you just empathize, okay? And as your friend starts sharing his or her thoughts, you never know that as he or she processes, eventually he or she would also come to the conclusion, yeah, he or she is not the right person for me. And another is, I'm going to give you some tips on how we also mourn with those who are mourning, especially when it's at a wake. When we go to a funeral parlor, we have to be mindful of how that person wants us to comfort him or her. Some people would love that we talk to them because a lot of people who are the bereaved family members, they would tell me they feel loved and comforted to see so many people coming to the wake, talking to them and sharing beautiful memories of their loved ones. Sometimes they don't even know that how this loved one helped somebody else. So it comforts them. And it says that at least for the day, they have somebody to talk to. They don't grieve that much. They don't feel so sad. It's only during nighttime that they felt the loss. But for some people, they prefer to be alone or they prefer just to be quiet. They're at the wake, but they're very quiet and they don't feel like talking. So if that's the case, then you just sit beside that person. Just be quiet and silently pray for that person. And please don't cry when you see somebody crying. Actually, you know why we do that? It's sometimes because we are uncomfortable with people crying. But we have to let people, or sometimes we feel that, oh, it's bad for that person because it seems as he or she can't breathe. But actually, crying is therapeutic. So if somebody is crying, you just say, it's okay. You just cry. And even when I have counselees who are males and they would cry, I would just say, it's okay. You just let your feelings out. I won't look down on you, or I won't think that you are weak. And I won't even tell others. So my friends, I hope we would make others feel special by validating their feelings. And the way we do that is by listening attentively, listening without judging, and listening with empathy. And the best example of that is our Lord Jesus Christ. You can check out John chapter 4 in the way he talked to the Samaritan woman. The Samaritan woman actually had a very bad past. She had 5 ex-husbands, and she was cohabiting with another guy when she was talking to Jesus. And yet Jesus did not judge her, did not look down on her. So eventually she felt validated because Jesus listened to her, knowing her past. So eventually she also believed in Jesus. And I'm sure she lived a changed life after that. And now, I'd like to thank those who have also taken the time to encourage us. Ang Sir, Catherine Biag, Clarinda Chuago, Connie Lai, Ivan Cheng, Hank Wang, Idalyn Yu, Irene Tan from Singapore, Jacqueline Abelia, Lee C, Lourdes Cruz, Mark Acebuche, Melanie Wong, Nancy Chunguan, Nathan Ko, Nathaniel J. Santan, Peter Go, Ravel Music, Rebecca Young, Rebby Josiah, Roy Jasper Liao, Ruben So, Sharina Nanglo, Susan Aisma, Vina C. Santos, and Virginia Ngo. And please watch out for our first Taglish episode soon. We would feature once a month, a Taglish edition once a month. And let's make others feel special this week by validating their feelings. See you next Friday.